Okay, so in this video, I'm going to show you how to create an assessment using the quick mode. So if you go into Illuminate, go into your Illuminate account, and so this is what will pop up. Just to give you a quick FYI, notice your tiles, and we see here live proctoring. That means that you have an assessment currently in progress. So that's just like a little heads up, kind of like those little alerts on your phone. And then the constructed responses, you can see I have two. That means that I have two assessments that require me to go back in and grade them. So those are some nice shortcuts for later that I'll show you what to do with. Right. So if you wanted to create a new assessment, you can go into a lot of these different tiles, but I go into view, assessments, and you would go to create assessment. Now, right now what I am doing, so on the fly, I am honest, I have not played with that one. Flexible is a great, if you already have a paper test, you can turn that into an Illuminate document. It's pretty awesome. I'll do a video on that one later. And the item bank one is actually the best one. So if you click on item bank and just give it a hot minute to think. So how's your day going? Mine's good. I will say that it takes a little while just to get used to this, so just be patient. All right, so there's standard mode, which means that you can go through all of the different items and kind of choose the questions you want. I get sucked into that mode. Like, it's overwhelming. So if you go, let's say that this is going to be your first time doing it, I challenge you to just do a quick check. 5 to 10 questions using quick mode. So if you do quick mode, it's going to generate the questions for you, and you just say yay or nay. So you're going to go ahead and click next. All right, so I'm going to call this one, you can see all my testing ones there. Let's see, example assessment for video. Unit 5, systems of equations, substitution. Because we're learning the substitution method. Now, you really only have to fill out this part. You could put in descriptors there. That's stuff that when the assessment comes up that they would see. You may want to put the year, so that way if you ever want to go back to it, you can pull data from that year. You can select which grade level it's appropriate to. This is more, more so like I'm doing 8th grade. You can select multiple, so it's 8th grade content, but I'm giving it to 7th graders, and I'm also giving it to 6th graders. Not 5th graders. JK. All right. Anywho, it doesn't have a red star, so it's not necessary. And then you can do it. This is more so for if people want to search. Once you publish it, other people can use the assessments that you've made. And go ahead and click create. All right, so these are where you would put in the standards, and you can search them here. Now, anything that you've done recently will pop up here, so that makes it nice and easy, but I'll take you through the process. So for math, it's standards of excellence. I would like to pull things from the year 18. I can read. And my standards are way too far down there. Are the grade 8 mathematical practices. FYI, that's just like shows computation, shows this, so you want that. And then it has the window down here where it has all your standards and tells you how many items. So my standard is underneath this, and analyze and solve linear pairs, so I want here. All right, and you select the standard that you want. I'm doing multivariable. I want this one. So I'm going to click on the items. So I click on the items, and you can see here I've chosen one standard. So you could, and then maybe I want, let's do 2 just so I can show you the difference. So it shows that I have 2 standards here. Now, if you scroll back up, now you'll notice here are the standards that I've created, and you can type in how many questions do you want for that particular standard. So you're like, you know what, I think I'll do 8. All right, I'm going to make this just so I can go through this. I'm going to do 3 here. Let's do 4. And I'll do 1 that's more of like a word problem. Now, if you wanted to get more advanced, you can click on the modify criteria. Like where do you want it to pull information from? I mean, if you're all fancy. If you want it to only be multiple choice, you can select just that. If you want it to be a constructed response, you could select that. So if you don't care what it is, just don't even bother with it. But if you're like, yeah, I just want this to be multiple choice only, then you would select multiple choice only. Attributes. This is where you can kind of, you know what, I'm teaching an on-level class. I just need to check for basic understanding. So it can be a low difficulty. If you don't select it, it'll give you a variety. If you want to administer it just on paper, they'll give you paper only style questions. You do want to pay attention to that because I accidentally administered one online and it was a paper question and they didn't have paper. So my bad. And then depth of knowledge. So again, it has your extended thinking, your ones and stuff like that. So you can actually include all of that when you're taking it. I just leave everything blank. And I just look at the question. So now I know that I'm going to have 5 questions. So I'm going to go ahead and hit next. Now this next part, if you don't have any assessments, then this might not pop up or it'll pop up and be blank. But you can see these are all of the assessments that I've created before. So let's say this was a quick check or a quiz, and I don't want the same questions from a quick check to reoccur on this. So if I click on this one, if I click add, that means if there is a question on here, it will not repeat on this new assessment that I'm making. So that way I can avoid any repeat questions. This would be great for people creating modified versions they're using them in their small groups and they don't want to accidentally use one of those as their items. All right, so it's not going to pull any repeat questions from there. Then I click next, and here it's just okay. Now I just need it to generate. So it's gonna say here's what I think. And now you've got a selection of questions. So here's the first standard. It tells you what the standard is. That's good English. And we can see here, it tells you the correct answer and also gives you potential reasoning about why they might choose the wrong one. So you're like, oh, yeah, that looks good. I like that one. And then you get here and you can see that this one is they have to actually enter. So there's a selection bank. So that's kind of nice. But so it's not that they have to type it in. They have to actually put in their solutions there. I'm not really familiar with that one, but say you're like, oh, I don't get what they want there. So click regenerate and it'll give you a brand new question for that standard. And if you're like, oh, I don't like that one. Okay, so notice how this has a pencil. Pay attention to that because it's great. There are some that you can graph online, but this is a paper test only, so I don't want to use this one. I'm going to regenerate. So you want to make sure that it has that little computer screen. Now this is great practice for them because it's like on the milestone, you have to click more than once. So you're like, oh, you know what? I'll keep that one. Ooh, okay. So that's a good question. And so you just kind of keep going through and you're like, yep, all right, I like that one. Okay. Oh, that one looks a little too difficult, or I don't like too many of those styles, so I'll regenerate. No, you can keep regenerating as much as you want, and it'll just keep going through all of the different types of questions that it has in the item bank. Oh, look at that. That's a fancy question. They get to kind of rank it. I like that one. Okay, I'm going to like that one. I'm going to keep that one. Okay. I don't know what practice means. So they get to practice it. And then you can click submit. Oh, you can test it out. Okay, interesting. All right, so now notice down here, then I had the other standard there. So that showed the 4 questions for that one standard. So now I'm going to go and check out what they came up for this standard. And I'm like, oh, okay, that sounds good. I like it. So if you have the questions that you like and everything is A-okay, then you are done. You hit next. Did I hit next? Did I do it? No? Thinking? JK? Let me make sure. Sometimes it's done this to me before. Let me make sure. Oh, just kidding. Save and ready to publish. All right. You can, let me see what happens with the save. So you can save it and not publish it. So let's say you're creating this for your PLC, and you're not sure if you are 100%. If I go into my assessments, I can pull it up. Okay, that's my reminder to do something. So now if I pull it up, I can go back through everything and be like, you know what? Hey guys, let's take a look at the questions that I have selected and determine if we agree or disagree on any of these. And that's where you can change them. So once you have that all set up, it's just now when you get into that video, oh gosh, okay, I'm already all the way up to the top. Just kidding. The windows change as you go through this. Okay, so we're like, oh, yep, we all agree. Although at this point, it's just like you'd have to delete it. You can't, it's no longer a regenerate. If you wanted to go back, you would have to go into the add items and change how many questions and just kind of do a research again. All right, so you're like, oh, okay, looks good. Let's just make our way. And we're going to go ahead and go to publish. So you can go ahead and just click publish. You don't have to do publish and administer if you're not ready, if you're like, this is not happening for another week or so. So now it has been published. If you click preview, you will see what it looks like from the student's point of view. So this is what it would look like. Notice I didn't put in a description, so there's no words here. So when you type in the description, whatever you type in the description would be here. And they would just click begin test. And it takes them through. And it's pretty much similar. They've got similar tools to the milestone. So they can flag it if they have a question. You can give them access to a calculator if you wanted to. That's something you'd have to set up before you give it to them. They can scroll through the different questions. You can jump around. They can zoom. So it's pretty nice. Okay, so that's the preview. All right, we're just going to go ahead and close that. All right, and so that's how you would go ahead and create the assessment. All right, so once you have that done, check out the next video for how to administer it and share it and the different ways that students can access the assessment that you created.